And welcome back to episode 10 of Cities Skylines and the Charlatan City. Yeah, made it to episode 10 so far, eh? Look at that. So this is where we left off last time in the suburb. I really like how this neighborhood came out. It's pretty cool. It's quite hustling and bustling. Good life kind of happening here, but not overcrowded by any means. And these cars, I mean, just look at those two things parked next to each other. Can you imagine seeing that in real life even? What are the odds? Anyway. So yeah. In today's build, we're not going to carry on with the adjacent suburb there by the school, because we've got very high demand for industry. So my thinking is to expand on the current small farm sections, because there's only one large farm at the moment. I was thinking to add a couple of smaller farms, just bigger than a homestead, I would say. And then for a little extra added spice here, considering that we're doing all these high-end kind of suburbs, I want to add a township. Now if you don't know what a township is, in South Africa there's informal settlements, so areas where people kind of illegally go live, and they build their houses out of whatever they can find, which 9 times out of 10 is discarded tin roof sheeting. Not a very safe environment. They generally rely on paraffin and fire to live there. So you'll see bellows of smokes and all kind of stuff, and they generally put it off of a little bit away of main roads, and it's generally where the bulk of South Africa's workforce actually lives, which isn't an ideal scenario, but it's the unfortunate reality of our country. So yeah, let's get into it. So over here I'm kind of just scouting the spots, so that highlighted green, that just shows a map overview of fertile land. So what I'll initially be doing is placing it down a whole bunch of the main farm buildings, just to establish where I kind of want them, and then I'll scale it back, and I actually end up building only the first 2 on the same side of the railroad, and then a little higher up in the mountain between the 2 farms, that's exactly where the township's going to be put. But yeah, let's get into our first time lapse. Enjoy. African sounds would be appropriate here. And one day after our immigration, I can look back at these episodes a little longing for home, I guess. Why not? So yeah, let's get back to what's actually going on here. So for this farm, I thought this could be a cattle farm, and because the assets where the cattle go are only in squares for whatever reason, and you can't make an organic shape, I kind of plunk them down all over the place and add as many little trees and hide the fencing as much as I can so it looks more like they're grazing freely. And then the wheat or cornfields there, whatever the case is, probably wheat, just for the farmer's own initiative to kind of subsidize his own food for the animals, which is a normal common practice in the rest of the world, but here in South Africa that is very normal. Most farms around in this country will do a dual kind of crop situation or grow something specifically for their livestock. But yeah, so yeah, this will be a milking parlor, as you see there in the corner, with the little grain field, and then yeah, just cows in the back. And considering the mountainous area, I thought highland cows would be ideal here. Why not? Snow peaks kind of made me think of it. And then the next couple of farms, I'll do one that's a small sheep farm, and I'm also going to add a small pig farm as well. And as far as the township's concerned, that sits in between them, I'm going to add little paths and stuff that run down to the farms, because the workers, especially in South Africa, generally walk to work. There isn't great public transport here. There is taxis, which is like mini buses, but they are, yeah, they're dangerous at the best of times. Those drivers are on another level. So most of the time, guys either have a bicycle if they're lucky enough, or they just walk. And these shanty towns, they kind of spring up out of the necessity of getting to work, which is exactly why they generally are situated between work areas. But yeah, enough rambling from me. Let's get back into it. Enjoy. First farm in the bag. Yeah, as far as the music's concerned on this one, I would like to showcase like actual South African music and definitely African music in general, and not the generic stuff that's available royalty free that I'm allowed to use. And mostly because there is some phenomenal music in this country and some crazy good artists, especially in jazz, and then in the informal settlements like the Shantytown gave birth to some really incredible artists, and it's definitely worth a listen. take some time and have a look. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, this is the first farm up, and the second little sheep farm there adjacent to it, which here in South Africa as well, that's also commonplace. To have these kind of farms close to each other, you'll often find that it's a family that owns one chunk of land and they separate it to do their own little thing, but they'll generally help each other out, and then later on they get sold as like individual lots or whatever the case is. But yeah, let's get back into the next time-lapse build. Enjoy! Yeah, here's the little pig farm up and running. So yeah, here I'm basically just adding some mud decals, so it has a nice little kind of like mud pit where the pigs like to bathe and kind of wash themselves in. They love mud baths. Actually, as a kid, as a teenager, at the start of my high schooling career in a small town in the northwest of South Africa called Vogwel, I, for a brief moment, had the privilege to work on a small lot of land, and the farmer actually helped me set up my first own little pig farm section, which was weird, but gained some interesting information and knowledge there. But yeah, again, the pig farm has the adjacent of the fruit, and here I'm also just adding in a little more realistic kind of orchard section that follows the landscape a bit more than the weird square that the game forces you to use. Even though the trees I'm adding now is non-functional and completely decorative, it just gives it a little bit of that more realistic kind of feel, which I like. I try and play within the game's constraints, but adding that bit of realism, why not? You know, it just gives the game a bit more depth. But yeah, let's get back into it. Chat soon. Shantytown done and dusted. Well, kinda. Yeah, you'll see shortly it kinda fades out and fades back in because my computer actually crashed and I didn't save the Shantytown build section, so I had to redo it. But whatever, these things happen. But yeah, Shantytowns are weird places, man. They're so vibrant and interesting in themselves. There's small shops and it's got a life of its own. Problems there, obviously. There's stuff like poverty is obviously ingrained, but things like healthcare issues are a problem. Accessibility for like police and fire and that kind of stuff is an issue. Here's the rebuild as we speak. But yeah, outside of that stuff, it's very close-knit communities. They take care of their own. They have their little own bars, and which they call shebeens, which is pretty cool. It's kinda off-license bar, effectively. And then there's often small shops and all kinds of stuff. Trash and that kind of stuff is a reality there, as there's obviously no refuge removal or anything of the sorts. And they're highly impoverished, so they do whatever they can to get themselves through the day. Schooling, I mean, these kids also have to walk sometimes kilometers and kilometers, miles and miles, just to get to the nearest school, and often without shoes, winter clothing, and just what they can carry in their school bags. But yeah, that's just the reality of Africa. Nothing more, nothing less, really. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this build. Little slice of home there for you. Till next time, cheers.